And it was very hard. Like it took over a month in planning how we were going to do it, how we were going to fit everything, and just how we were going to take on an order that big. When I took the order, I thought, there's no way. But I was like, we're going to do it. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Screw It, Let's Do This podcast. I'm your host, Shelby. As you can see, Therese is in here today. Last week, she did an episode without me when I was on vacation. And this week, she's on vacation. So you guys just have me. And today we're talking all about baking. So we asked some questions on Instagram that you guys have for me. And I'm just kind of going to go down the list here. So our first question is from Elena. Hi, Elena. And she asked, if you could only eat one of your desserts for the rest of your life, what would it be? This is tough because when people come in and ask me like, oh, what's your favorite thing? I mean, I list off like 10 things. I can't just tell you one. But if I only could eat one, it would probably be a cookie cup, just because it's kind of like 3 desserts in one. So you have a cookie base. So you get to eat a cookie, and then you have a filling. And my favorite is Nutella. So then you also get to eat Nutella. And then there's edible cookie dough on top. So you also get that. So you kind of get 3 things in one. The second question from Kara is the other probably biggest question that I get asked most often is your favorite bakery item to make. And this one's so hard because I don't really have a favorite. The only things that I really don't like making are caramel from scratch because it's really easy to mess up. And probably mini cookie cups. A lot of people think that minis are easier and like less time, or I don't know what people think because they expect it to be like half the cost or less than half. But the truth is minis are like probably more of an amount of work than a regular sized item. So really anything minis, but especially the mini cookie cups are just a pain to make, and caramel. So my favorite bakery item is really anything other than those 2 things. Everything is pretty much done the same way. You cream butter, sugar, you add your dry ingredients, you bake it off. I don't like doing anything that's super time consuming or finicky, where like if you do one thing wrong, the whole entire product is messed up, like macaroons. So I don't make them because they're really finicky. So cookies, brownies, most everything we make is really forgiving. So I don't really have a favorite bakery item to make. I love decorating 21st birthday cakes, if that counts. So that might be my final answer. That was a very long answer. Our third question is from Olivia, and she asked, where did you learn to bake? So a lot of people ask me this, and they're surprised that like I don't have any like formal experience baking or any family members that baked, but I really didn't. I just taught myself everything. So growing up, none of my family baked, and I had such a big sweet tooth from as long as I can remember. Like my parents would have to be like, you need to chill because I would just eat so much dessert and it's all I ever wanted. So because no one baked, I was like, well, I'll do it because I really want a cookie or I really want this or that. And so it was honestly just out of need. I just kept baking. And then around like middle school, my parents kind of started letting me find recipes, do my own thing. High school, I baked for my friends. College, I baked for my friends. And then word got around. I made an Instagram page, kind of got bigger there. And that was Miggy's. So I just kind of taught myself, watched a lot of Food Network and kind of picked up a couple things there. And then just kept practicing. That's really all it is. Our next question is from Seth. Hi, Seth. What was the first thing you ever remember baking as a child? Well, the very first thing were those little, like, you can still get them, those little cookie packs of like pre-made cookie dough, and then you just rip the cookie off and then put it on the pan. I made those probably like 3 times a week. My family was obsessed with those, and we had them all the time. And I remember like my dad would let me and my brother switch off like who was the one that got to put the cookies on the tray. And I would always, like, my dad would count and be like, okay, you guys eat so much cookie dough. Like, there's 24, leave them. And I would eat a whole cookie dough ball, and then I'd rip pieces off the other cookie dough balls to make another one. And then he's like, what the heck? They're kind of smaller. I'm like, no, they're not. So that's kind of how I got away with that. It was definitely those little cookie balls that are in packs. We made those all the time. But that was when like I couldn't really use a mixer by myself. After that, the thing I made from scratch the most and the first thing I ever made was probably on the back of like a Nestle Toll House cookie chocolate chip bag. There's a cookie recipe. That recipe I made for years and years and years. I always made it and it's really good. I made it a couple years ago and it's still really good. Like I recommend starting off with that if you want something easy to try. All right, our next question is from Emily 51315. Hi, Emily. How did you come up with the idea for cookie cups? So if you guys don't know what a cookie cup is, I kind of mentioned it earlier. It's a cookie base with a filling and then edible cookie dough on top. So the filling could be like Nutella is my favorite, buttercream, caramel, peanut butter, ganache, like whatever you think you could put in it, you probably can. So the idea came from, this was when I was starting the bakery. So probably in like 2019, I was obsessed with bakeries in Europe and their Instagram pages. And I would just be on Instagram scrolling through, finding all these small bakeries in Europe, mostly like the UK. And they had really interesting flavors and things that I was like, I really want to try that. Different. Like one of them is George's Bakery. He makes really interesting stuff. Another one is Isa Bakes, ISA Bakes. I love like that kind of style. And I kind of use that to like shape my style a little bit in what we make. And so I saw, I think it was George's Bakery. He had something like a cookie cup. And I was like, wait, I can press a cookie down and like put something in it. And he did a lot with edible cookie dough. I was like, okay, but let's top it. And so I kind of like took a spin on it and made it. And I had no idea. Like, yes, of course it sounds good, but I was like, I don't know how it'll bake. Like, I don't know if it'll even hold up, whatever. The first one I made was like incredible. I made it at my parents' house. I called everyone down to come try it. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, like, how did you just do this? And I was like, I swear it wasn't hard. I don't know what I just did. And cookie cups really stuck. They're our number one selling item at the bakery every day. So people love the cookie cups. And if you haven't tried them, we ship. All right, next question. Sarah J 103. Are your recipes all your own? If so, were there bakeries influence your process? So yeah, I just kind of answered the second part of that question. A lot of like UK bakers and bakeries that I love to follow. And I still do. And when I go to London in a couple of years, that I'm very excited for that. So the first part of the question was, are your recipes all your own? And yes, they are. We have so many recipes of things that kind of what I did was in the very beginning, right when I started the bakery, I knew like, okay, I need really strong recipes. So what I would do is have like baking days. So like one day I did a chocolate chip cookie day and I laid out on my parents' like island and kitchen table. I would make one small recipe at a time, one small batch. So I'd have like chocolate chip cookie A, B, C, D, E, F. Like I did like 6 variations of things of just recipes I found online that I thought looked good. And I would bake them all. Then I would have notes and I would have all my family, my friends come over and we'd try pieces of each one. And we'd write notes like, okay, I like this, I like this, I like this. I don't like that, I don't like that. And then I kind of like figured out, okay, well, this cookie has this in it and I liked it. So I'll try that. And I would just kind of like mash together recipes of things that I liked. So I guess they're my own, but I use like base recipes of other people's that I just found online to make up my own. And it was a lot of trial and error. That process probably took like 6 months and I haven't changed any recipes since I did that. It took a while, but I think it was worth it. This is from my cousin Lexus. Hi, Lexus. Most challenging request you ever got? Challenging is a hard question because I've been asked things where I'm like, I can't do that or I don't want to do that. And I just tell people like, no, I don't do that because I know like I'll stress myself out and not be happy with the product and the person ordering probably won't be happy. So if there's ever something where I'm like, this looks really hard or this is something I don't do, I just tell people right away, like, hey, this isn't something I do. Go to someone else. Like, here's a recommendation of someone that might be able to do it. But I think the most challenging for our team and like for me was probably last year. It's just about a year now when the Badgers ordered Badger football in Wisconsin. It's our football team. They ordered a platter of, I think it was like 50 things for every suite. And I think there's 72 suites in the stadium. We baked also for like big clubs there. So like there's where 300 people can go, 500, 200, there's different size clubs. And then we made like dessert tables for them. So we did that on top of what, like 50 times 72. I don't even know what that is. And that was at a time when we were sharing a kitchen with a restaurant and we had very limited space and it was very hard. Like it took over a month in planning how we were going to do it, how we were going to fit everything, and just how we were going to take on an order that big. When I took the order, I thought, there's no way. But I was like, we're going to do it because it's going to be our biggest order that we'll have for a long time. So I just took it and we did it and it ended up being great. And we got a lot of business from it and people loved it. So yeah, that was the hardest thing that we've done so far. In this kitchen now that we have, it wouldn't be that hard. It would still be hard. It wouldn't be as hard because we have so much space and a lot more help. But in the one we were in, I still have PTSD. So the next question is about baking trends and what's kind of super trendy right now. If you guys are on TikTok or even Instagram Reels or anything, you'll probably see a lot of heart cakes. And that's been happening for like a year. Heart cakes, probably over that, but I started seeing them a lot from people ordering me about a year ago. And I think heart cakes and like vintage style cakes are the biggest trend right now, at least for like the orders that I make. And I love them. So Whisk Chick, who we had on, I don't know, like back in March or April now, a while ago, I think she was our first guest. So hi, MK. She also just got married, so congratulations. But she does so many heart cakes, and that's kind of what blew her up on TikTok. So if you guys have not listened to that episode, it's really interesting. Go back and listen to that one. But I love the heart cake trend. They're really fun to make. If you're a cake decorator or baker or anything, you probably agree because they're not that hard to do. A lot of people think, oh, it's like a shape, it's kind of hard, but they're not too much more difficult. And they're just really cute. So super cute. I love the vintage style because it's a lot of piping. And if you want to get into anything like that, or you're like, I don't know if I could ever do that, it looks hard, like just try it. I think practice your piping is like the number one thing that you can do. Practice it like on a sheet or on like a Tupperware, something that like stands up, and practice it there and then move on to a cake. And you can always just scrape it off. So yeah, if you want to get into anything trendy like that, just practice and it'll start coming out really cute. And also watch MK's videos because she explains how to make them on TikTok at Whisk Chick. So I have a couple of other questions. I'll just kind of rattle through them here. Do you like baking with other people or alone? I actually get asked this question a lot. I like both. So I used to really like baking alone because it was definitely like a therapy for me back in the day. It still is, but especially back in the day when I was really struggling with my anxiety and different things like that, which that's a whole nother topic for itself in an episode. But I really used baking a couple of years ago to like get through horrible anxiety that I was experiencing. And so I think it really became an escape for me before it was a business. So by myself, I loved it. I'll just like put my AirPods in and listen to a podcast or music, and I love that. But now that I have such like a great team and my own space here where I'm not sharing a kitchen, I'm not worried about like, oh, maybe like people will come in when I'm baking and I don't know about it. It kind of like freaks you out and then you kind of get kicked out of your zone. But when I know I have my team here and we're all working on like the same things and it's all orders like for our business, it's really fun to bake together and to like talk with people and dance around the kitchen and do things like that. So I love baking with other people for that reason. but I also do love baking by myself. I don't do it that often anymore just because we have such a big team now that I don't have to. But once in a while, when we're like super busy and people have gone home and things aren't done, I do have to be here by myself. And I enjoy it. I like baking by myself. So is baking still fun for you now that you own a bakery? The answer is yes. I don't think I'll ever get tired of it. When I was actually just on vacation with my boyfriend this past week, which is why I was not here for the last episode with Therese, we met like like a retired couple. And they were like, oh, we were you guys like 30 years ago. Now we're retired and, traveling and whatever. And I like, after we talked to them, I told my boyfriend, Ben, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever retire, because I'm sure I'll change my answer in a couple years. But I just love what I do so much. I love baking. Like, I don't think I'll ever get tired of it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's more fun now that I own a bakery because people come in and like, it's mine. Like, people know that it's my baby kind of. And I'm super proud of what we make. And I think it's more fun. And honestly, I bake a lot less now that I have a bakery than I did before. We have the space for more people to help me. Before, I was mostly doing it all by myself, like 12-hour days all the time. And I still have 12-hour days a lot, but they're not all in the kitchen on my feet all day long. So I enjoy it more now. Oh God. You were holding this out on me. Okay, I'm laughing right now because I just got this sheet handed to me from Mr. Producer. And these are questions from Therese herself. From @TrickyFoods. If you were to make a theme cake to give to Therese, what would be on it? A rat. I would put a rat on it. I would put just a big old block of cheese. And I'm talking like real cheese. Like, I wouldn't make like a look-alike cheese. I would put cheese. I would put salami and a rat. And then I'd write TF on it. And that's what I would give you. It would not be that nice looking because it would be more from the heart, Therese. Why do you like baking but hate cooking? I really don't know. I wish I knew the answer to this, but I think it's more common than people think because, like, I know a lot of bakers and most of them don't like cooking, but they love baking. I shouldn't say most of them, but a lot of people are like, yeah, I love baking, but cooking is not my thing. I really don't know. Like, I say that it's maybe because I'm in the kitchen so much baking that by the time I'm like, have time to cook, I'm just so over being in the kitchen that I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. But even when I have like days off and I'm not in the kitchen for a couple days at a time baking, I still don't want to cook. So if anyone knows why that is, please let me know because I have no idea. Do you believe a love for baking means you like science more and cooking means you're more creative since baking is a science? No, I don't. Okay, I totally understand that baking is a science, but I do a lot of pinch here, pinch there. And if you're my employees listening to this, don't do that. But I do that. And if my employees ever see me, I'm like, don't look. Like, you didn't see that. I think I'm more creative than science oriented. I did not like science in school. I liked more creative things in school. So I don't know. I think I'm more creative than science oriented in that way. Are you going to make Therese's future wedding cake? Well, Therese, if you're getting married where I think you're getting married, which is not in the area, or I'm not able to deliver the wedding cake by car, I don't think I will be making your wedding cake. Unfortunately, I definitely would if you did get married here, but I don't think you're going to. So you're kind of on your own, but I will vet some bakers in the area and we'll make sure we get you something good. Another question from Therese is, honestly, what's up with the baking community? ... It's like a cult. And to that I say, look at the charcuterie community. You guys, I see your like interactions online. I feel like every community, like baking, charcuterie, I don't know, videographers, like everyone, their own industry kind of has like, I don't know, it's kind of cult-like because everyone has the same interest. And I feel like when you own a business like a bakery or charcuterie or anything, I mean, it's your baby. So it's like that takes up, at least for me, it takes up like almost all of my time. So I'm going to talk to people more that also have the same interest or business or whatever. But I will say baking, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that enjoy it. I think more than maybe charcuterie. I think charcuterie is newer too, that maybe that's why. But baking is just very therapeutic. And I think a lot of people enjoy that. And after COVID, a lot of people got into it during then. So I think it's definitely, I mean, things like baked goods are never going to go away. So people love that and love that community behind it. All right. Last question from Miss Therese Joy Merkel. Have you made 1,000,000 cookies? No, there's no way I've made 1,000,000 cookies. But I do wish I knew like how many I made. Like, I don't even have a guess. It'd be a lot. It would be a lot. Sometime maybe I'll have to like put together my best like math work and see. I mean, I can see how much we make in a day on average here. So I could do the math there, kind of guess things from the past, but definitely have not made 1,000,000 cookies. I don't know if anyone has, unless you have like a factory. And in that case, the person's not even making it. So no, I don't know if I ever will make 1,000,000 cookies. We'll see. I appreciate you tuning in this week with just myself talking about baking. And you guys can find us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Leave us a review. We would really appreciate it. And subscribe. And we will see you next week with me and Therese back together again. Thank you for listening. Bye.